Hello and welcome to the Watch Kaki channel, where we bring you all the good and honest watch review. If you haven't done so, please, I'd like to remind you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my videos, come back here every week because I've got new videos uploaded just for you. In today's video, we're going to do a comparison between these two watches, and these two watches, they are done in the Royale style, right? The Royale design. So we're going to compare the Casio Royale. Alright, this is the original watch and it's got this nickname called Casio Royale, and I'm going to compare it with its copy. Alright, and this copy is done by Skmei. Alright, and Skmei, I don't think there's a model for this watch, and I think they just conveniently call this one the dual time, but for convenience in this video, I'm just going to name both watches Royale style. Of course, this is the Casio versus the Skmei here. So before we go into the comparison proper, let's just do some background information. So both these watches, they belong to me. I paid for these watches. Alright, I bought this one a few months back, I think 3 months back, and I spent about $35, Singapore dollars, $35. And this one here, the Skmei, I bought this one used. Alright, and of course I bought this watch with the purpose of harvesting its stainless steel bracelet, because I bought the other Casio Royale model. Alright, so these models, they're called the AE1200, so AE1200 WHD, and this one here I think is AE1200 WH and 1 BVDF or something like that. So this one here comes on a resin strap. So I wanted to buy the Skmei because I wanted to do a transplant. So let me just zoom in the lens a little bit as I start by introducing the first watch I'm going to talk about, the Casio Royale. So reference number for this watch is AE1200, so it is a cult classic. Alright, got its nickname because it resembles a watch that 007 wore in one of those Roger Moore kind of old school James Bond movie. But incidentally, there were two Casio Royales made. Alright, both films, they did not feature Roger Moore. One featured David Niven. Right, so that was a non-Aeon production, and of course we had the first Daniel Craig movie, I think way back in 2006 or something like that. But these two movies, they did not feature any digital watch, but I guess it's just a wordplay on, you know, the Casino Royale film. So, you know, fans were really quick to call this one the Casio Royale. Okay, so like I said, this is a cult classic for not a lot of money, nothing prestigious, nothing luxurious. It is not even a well-made watch. Alright, this watch is, to me, represents the lowest level of quality. You get a full plastic case with all these unsightly molding lines here, and you've got this kind of folded, or I don't know what you call, stamped bracelet here. So you can see there is no effort to hide the folding. You can get a really low quality clasp here. I think you can easily bend or break these things with your bare hands. You don't have to be Arnold or anything like that. You don't have to be a very strong guy, but no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so so this is also a very popular watch for modding as well as strap changing. So several other brands, alright, namely Vario. I work with Vario frequently, and I do know they have produced a sort of a leather strap for this watch with the nice notching and all that at the lug end here. So as you can see from the bracelet end here, the end link, it's got a lug width of 22 millimeters, but I think it flares up to 26 or something like that, and then it narrows back down to about 20. And of course, the AE1200, it comes in many different color variations. I dare say this is the most popular, the best looking one of them all. So it's got this look here, all stainless steel kind of look, but in fact it is plastic. Alright, the watch case is plastic, the crystal is plastic. It's got a steel bracelet nonetheless, but very poor quality one. So I also have with me here the AE1200. I think this, they call it the vintage print edition or something like that. So it features gold prints here and a sort of a vintagey yellowish or even gold looking LCD background. There are some other models like the green bezel one and so on and so forth. So one can actually have the entire AE1200 collection for less than say 200 Singapore dollars. Alright, so if there are 5 watches in the collection, you don't have to spend 200 to collect them all. So what's not to like about this model line here, right? So looks good, not so expensive, and I think it fits really well. So on my rather small wrist, it fits very well. All right, so zero lug protrusion or lug gap, so even ladies would have no problem with a watch like this. So on to the Skmei. So obviously this one here is made as a homage or a copy to the AE1200. Okay, so the prints here are slightly different. So obviously the AE1200 is known as the world time. That's the official name. So this one here is dual time, doesn't have world time function. I might cover that later on in this video. So over here it says illuminator, here's the EL luminous. And one of the more interesting effects about the Skmei watch is that all 4 colorways, alright, they've got the black one, the gold one, rose gold one, and the stainless steel one, right? So all the Skmei Royale models, they come in bracelet version, so they don't have the resin strap version. So this watch is also very affordable. So all year round you can buy this one off AliExpress. I think you pay about less than 20 Singapore dollars. I think brand new it should cost about 18 Singapore dollars. That's without any packaging. So you probably get the watch wrapped in bubble foam and in an envelope or padded foam envelope, and then it gets sent to you. So 18 bucks, I don't think anyone should complain very much. It is designed, you know, exactly the same as the Casio Royale, so right down to the segmenting of the LCD display. So I think of course there's some differences. So this one here has the world map here in the center section here, but over here they've just simplified things a little bit by just putting on the day of the week and some slight differences in the fonts as well. I very much prefer the fonts on the Casio watch, but this one here looks slightly bigger, but also slimmer, the fonts. So in terms of dimensions, alright, these two watches at first glance they are identical, about the same size, sort of a square rectangular kind of shape, and left to right both cases they come in at just under 40 millimeters. I measured with my calipers, both came in at 39.5 and 39.6 millimeters. Thickness, alright, in terms of thickness, it is where these two watches they differ. So take a look at these two watches. When we talk about their thickness, okay, let me just put my hands behind the watches here for you to compare the differences. So alright, so you can see that the Skmei, it's got a thicker case back. Okay, so the case back protrudes out more than the Casio on my left. As a result, it is a thicker watch, the Skmei here. This one here is thicker by almost 1 millimeters. It came in at about 13.5, whereas the Casio has a thickness of about 12.7 millimeters. So in terms of functions and buttons and operations and all that, there's also some slight differences. So this one here, I think obviously the buttons, they're all jumbled out. So this one here has adjust on the left and mode on the right, but I think they've flipped things around quite a bit here. So over here I think the mode here is on the left here, but the adjust button is on the bottom right, and the light here is on the left, whereas on the Casio is on the right. In terms of function, is also very different. So this one here, the Casio, the original Casio Royale, has got more functions. Alright, so it's got time telling, world time. This one here is some kind of alarm, alright, timer, stopwatch, and then we are back to timekeeping mode. This one here is slightly different. I think it doesn't have the world time. Okay, so let me just try and see if I can get the functions to work correctly. So next one is alarm. Right after timekeeping mode is alarm mode, and stopwatch. This one should be the dual time or world time function. I'm not too sure what this one is about, so perhaps you key in the second time zone, and when you enter this mode, and you can, you know, see the differences. And you've got a timer function as well, and we're back to timekeeping mode. So also one more difference here could be in terms of muting button. So this one here, as you can see, is on mute. You need to press the light button for 3 seconds or something like that for it to mute, which I very much prefer. I don't like the TTT sound. I find that really annoying. So this one here does not have the mute button, and I'm not a big fan of all these beeping sound. So next I'm going to talk about some of the differences in terms of build quality. Alright, so I know it's a bit of a misnomer. So in such watches here, $30, $20, you can't really talk about the build quality. Okay, so when I received the Casio Royale, okay, so it looks like a pretty cool watch, nice design, conversation piece, cult classic, not a lot of money, quite a nice watch. Okay, but then you do understand that when it comes to build quality, right, for me, these watches, they represent the lowest level of build quality. Okay, so I didn't believe that you could actually go lower than this. Alright, so plastic case and rubbish quality bracelet, very jangly, rattly. So I didn't expect to find a watch with even lower build quality. Alright, so of course I managed to find this watch, and of course it's a Skmei, so it is a copy of a low quality watch, and I didn't know, right, the quality is even lower. Alright, it's managed to outdo the Casio in the wrong direction. It is at least a notch or two lower in terms of build quality. Alright, so please bear with me for a while. Okay, I know it is very silly to talk about poor build quality for a $18-20 watch. Okay, so I'm just going to share with you some of the differences. So when you look at these two watches here, I do feel that the build quality or the refinement on the Casio is slightly better. So the beveling on the crystal is also nicer. Alright, you can see the really nice clear beveling on the crystal here. So you can see things like some kind of a reflection and distortion of the prints, 10-year battery and all that. So over here on the Skmei, no nice beveling and all that. So the crystal is also, I think, slightly proud of the bezel. So if you thought the Casio Royale's bracelet is rattly and noisy, alright, you're in for a treat, because this one goes a few levels higher. Alright, so it doesn't feel like a watch to me anymore. It feels more like a percussion instrument. Okay, so I think for those of you music YouTubers out there, if you're need to buy a new percussion instrument, I think this one here will work really well. So the backlight is one of the difference between these two watches. So the backlight is probably one of the difference between these two watches. I'm going to switch off the lights. We're going to compare the backlights of these watches. So I've switched off the studio lights. Let's do a really quick comparison of the backlight here. So for the Casio, it's got this orangey warm light here, very vintagey look. So for the Skmei, it's a little bit different. So just take a look here. Really nice bright blue EL backlight, and I really got to tell you, this is where the Skmei shines. Okay, so vintage orange. This one here is pretty cool, right? So ice blue kind of a vibe to it. So the Skmei does have a redeeming factor after all. So back at the studio now, I'm going to tell you why I did not do the transplant of the bracelet in the end. So I actually did try to swap over the bracelet. So don't get me wrong, everything fits really nicely. I managed to put in without any trouble. And the main thing is that I find the bracelet even worse than the original Casio bracelet. So this one here is bad enough, alright, with all the molding and the stamping and the folding and the really rubbish quality kind of clasp here. So I couldn't stand the Skmei bracelet in the end, because it's even worse, even noisier, and the clasp here just looks, I don't know, very flimsy, and the lock mechanism doesn't work very well. So you sort of got to push this a little bit before you can lift up the buckle or something like that. So I wasn't gonna have anything like that, so I've swapped out immediately. Alright, so I would say right after I fitted the bracelet, I took it off. Alright, so I just swapped everything back. So to sum up on this comparison video, I just like to tell you that the Casio Royale, right? So I firmly believe that this is the nicest model. Alright, so this one is the best. Don't bother, you know, getting the green one, or I think there's a gold one too. But then, you know, those models, they don't come with bracelet, and I have learned by now that the bracelets from Skmei, I don't think, you know, they're actually worth the transplant. Okay, so there's really no point in doing that. So I think, you know, if you're looking at getting the Casio Royale, so this has to be it. Okay, it wears well, it looks good. Okay, it looks much more expensive than say $35 or $34, but I think, you know, you're gonna have lots of satisfaction from this watch. So there you have it. That was my comparison between the Casio Royale and the Skmei Royale. Alright, so it is obvious which one is the winner right here. So for those who are thinking of buying the bracelet, right, for transplant onto the black versions of the Casio Royale AE1200, I strongly discourage you from doing so. Alright, I think if you want the bracelet look, just get the stainless steel version, and, you know, forget about getting the black one, because there's really no point in putting the black bracelet here, because it's not going to work very well. Doesn't look good, doesn't feel good. Alright, so this is the Watch Kaki from Singapore. I'm going to see you next week for more videos. Bye bye.